and that you put on the song. Welcome, welcome my love, welcome, welcome.
I said I was coming back as president.
Oh, what a thrill, what a thrill, what a thrill, what a thrill, my love. 1 year later, a year later. How was this year? How are you doing?
It started out hard, complicated. We were facing what was ready to make the worst crisis in Argentine history. We had a worse monetary imbalance than in the 75th year, the one before the Rodrigazo, which was an event where the inflation rate multiplied by 6 and the number of poor by 5. Imagine that if it was double, we were to multiply the inflation rate by 12. Already with just that, the inflation rate would have gone to 2,400, 2,500%. And on the other hand, we would have had poor people at 95% levels. But we also had the central bank directly bankrupt, and that implied that due to the structure that the previous government had left us, that the amount of money could be quintupled in one day. Therefore, that was even worse than what Alphonse N's hyperinflation was. That inflation climbed to 5,000%, also with a high jump in poverty. And when you look at the social indicators, we had social indicators worse than those of 2001. Therefore, everything was given for us to have the worst crisis in history. In addition, the first week of December, inflation was traveling at 1% a day, which is 3,500, 3,700 annually, more or less. When you look at the first 2 weeks of December, inflation was already traveling to 7,500. And when you look at what is the wholesale inflation of December, that was 54% of that annualized, gives 17,000. And since that 17,000, the percentage of inflation that we have been traveling to, today we have lowered it to 2% per month, which is 28% per year. That is to say, it is still a very high number, but the truth is that lowering it from 17,000 to 28 seems to me to be an interesting achievement.
Very much so.
And that, the first days were very complicated. Basically, we had cabinet meetings every day. We started very early because then each of the ministers had to go to their ministries, and they were 3-hour cabinet meetings every day.
During that one.
In the
time, sorry. Were you in the Liberator? No.
No, I slept in the Libertador. Let's say after the pass, I practically stayed installed in the Libertador. I went to live in the Libertador, which is very interesting because the Libertador is called the hotel. And also the colors are violets, which are the colors of freedom, of progress, and also the name of the Libertador. I'm a friend of the owner, right? I'm a friend of Eduardo Stein. So let's also say whatever it refers to, let's say Mo, right? To Moses, who is undoubtedly the greatest liberator in the history of mankind, let's say. That for someone to have an idea of what that was, that feat of the Jewish people coming out of Egypt. Is it like for you to see today a single person and his brother face China, the United States, let's say Russia, all together? No.
All together.
That is, and he stood by his hand and said to him, "Free my people."
No, impressive. And you feel that you have that imprint, that inner fire, because I see you every day. That all these things you are telling us, which are numbers that you also know that I try to incorporate, understanding as a couple to accompany you, but also to tell people that all day you are thinking about Argentines, all day, absolutely.
It is quite a demanding job, because you are connected all the time. It is 7 times 24 all the time. There is no Saturday. There is no Sunday. That is, you work every day. We also monitor the networks a lot all the time, because at the speed the networks travel, in case a problem appears, it can be solved very, very quickly. Look at that. What?
In addition, you did your campaign with the networks.
Well, exactly. We worked a lot on the networks because we had no resources, so the only tool we had to express ourselves and reach people were the networks, and in that sense, we work very strongly with the networks and also allows us to be in contact with people very quickly. And when a problem appears, we solve it very quickly.
Y además nos permite estar en contacto con la gente muy rápido y cuando aparece algún problema lo resolvemos muy rápido.
Notice that the unforgivable mistake that Chancellor Mondino made the other day cost her job after 30 minutes. No.
Of course. And those are very strong decisions, aren't they, that generate to be very attentive.
But let's see if there is something that is clear. But let's see if there is one thing that is clear. It is how I campaigned. In other words, my campaign had three very well-defined axes. There was an axis that had to do with economic policy, that was the chainsaw, that was the fiscal adjustment. And let's say the currency competition, or let's say they put dollarization, but it is currency competition. And if you look between the Treasury adjustment that are 5 points of GDP plus the central bank adjustment that are 10 points, that is, we made an adjustment of 15 points of GDP, which is the largest in the history of mankind. And I say with which we are complying. On the other hand, we had a very tough attitude in terms of what the fight against insecurity was. The one who does it pays for it. And note that since we took over, given the enormous task of Minister Bullrich, and it must also be said in conjunction with the tow minister, we have finished with the intermediaries of poverty and with the pickets. And on the other hand, I mean, all the things that seemed impossible and said they were impossible, right? And the other thing was my international policy. When you went to the events, there were many Israeli flags. And I had defined that my alignment in the world was with the United States and with Israel. And you cannot go to a vote where all the countries are on one side, the United States and Israel are on the other, and we had to be there. Not on the other side. Therefore, not only did that cost Chancellor Mondino her job, but at the moment we are doing a whole job, where all those responsible for this are going to be rounded up and thrown out.
Do you mean the people of Chancery?
Yes, exactly, because I understand that they are in love with the international bureaucracy and, of course, they live a parasitic life. And believe that in 170, 200 guys can handle the life of 8 billion, and which seems crazy to me. But well, that's the WAC agenda within the 2030 agenda, or the 2045 pact. That is to advance on individual freedoms, and that a set of fatally arrogant assholes who think they can handle the life of the rest. I mean, I'm not going to allow that. I understand that many people in the foreign ministry are in love with that kind of thing because of the role it gives them. But the truth is that if they want to run a country, I say go and win the elections, right? I mean, it doesn't work that way. Therefore, in addition, the foreign policy is set by the president. So how shall we say, that is, the line is going to grab, and we'll put out a statement in line opposite to what the president thinks. So, let's say all of those. All those people who were involved in that addition, I would tell you, I say I am to throw them all out. I also think that they are traitors to the homeland. Are we looking at the legal format by which to kick them out and make it is to pay? In other words, foreign policy is set by the president. Well, you can go and vote for anything because it seems to you. No, let's say, that is, if you want to vote what you think you have to win the elections.
Right. And something I see, and that with this, that the way you count. No, everything you do for me takes me to the daily where I see that this conviction, this coherence, these values, is not something that remains in a speech, that remains in a television program, but it is all the time. It is all the time.
You know the backstage.
Of course. It's all the time, which is something that makes me fall in love with this man, because you don't find so many coherent people, with values, with honesty, who aren't thinking about what advantage they're going to get, who aren't. Do you understand me? Then, well, they are. That's a lot of values. And as an Argentinian, I appreciate it too, right?
In fact, we have a different way of doing politics. We don't make politics by looking at the polls like most of the mediocre Argentine politicians do, that is, very typical of the analogic, Precambrian red circle, which basically end up being populist and is also inconsistent. You can't satisfy everyone's desires all the time. Look, there is a brilliant quote by an author named Thomas Shawwell that says the first law of economics is to know that there is not everything for everyone, and the first law of politics is to violate the first law of economics. Well, Argentina has done that throughout the last 123 years, because Argentina had a deficit during the 123, that is, there were 10 that did not have it, but because it did not pay the debt. And look at this, look at our achievement. We said that we were going to achieve fiscal balance in 1 year, and everyone said that it was impossible, that it could not be adjusted more than 1 point per year, and that it was impossible to do it because, well, in 123 years, it had never been done. And yet we achieved it in the first month. That is also why my admiration for Minister Caputo, who has also just been decorated as the best minister of economy in the world. Therefore, I am very, very proud. Well, the reality is that I am very proud of each of my ministers.
Yes, in a moment I'm going to ask you about each of them, because I want them to have.
I'm getting ahead of myself, sorry.
I want them to have their special highlight so deserved because, well, it has to do with you, and it has to do with all Argentines. Right, I wanted to ask you how you did to adapt.
No, I'm asking you a question, you. Isn't it hard to ask a question? I mean, so you're together every day. It's difficult.
Yes, it's difficult, but I thought it's going to be more difficult over there. It's not making me. Everything flows with you. Everything is that with you, everything flows. Everything flows. Let's see.
Let's still tell people to say no because of a prophylaxis issue. We weren't together yesterday, just so you could meditate on the interview.
We agree. No, each one. Yes, yes, yes. Better each in its place.
Besides, I had to do opera.
Also, on the subject of opera.
Last night, we watched the Pagliaic Spectacular.
You know that well, by the way. We have musical themes, for example, that of the opera.
Are we fighting that?
Yes, of course, because there will be.
That I didn't look at the papers for you.
No. Maybe you're always ahead of everything, so are you putting him on? Is this one from the opera?
This is the Nabucco opera. It's the VA Pensiero.
Aha. What is the VA Pensioner about?
Look, the VA Pensiero, let's see, is the most emblematic area of the Nabucco opera. Can I tell you a few things about the opera?
Anything you want. We have 2 hours are. The program is all yours. Next time you drive it too.
No. I have a country. A little bit.
A little recreation. Did you see?
Let's see, I'll tell you what the story of Nabucco is like. When Verdi wrote the opera Nebuchadnezzar, Italy was occupied by the Austro-Hungarians, by the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And in that context what happens? Verdi had had a first opera that had gone very well. In the second one, he is doing very badly. Basically, his son dies, let's say his wife was dying, and in fact, in the premiere of this second opera, he dies. Therefore, the opera is also a resounding failure. But life has its own things, and the wife of the owner of the scale was in a relationship with the young master Verdi. And then Verdi was in a very bad economic situation, because he even sold his clothes to be able to eat it.
Look.
So in that context, this woman who wanted to meet Master Verdi again, when they were riding in a wagon with her partner, with her husband, a writer appears and brings them Nebuchadnezzar's argument.
aparece un escritor y les trae el argumento de Nabucco.
So, because the lyrics are not by Verdi, but by someone else. So in that context, she asks him to give the D to the young master Verdi, and he didn't want to know anything, because he had made him lose a lot of money. But I don't know, she must have resorted to some tricks.
Influences.
And he got Verdi to do it. So, what is the interesting thing about the opening day? Because basically the opera Nebuchadnezzar, what it does is an equivalence between the occupation of the Hebrew people at the hands of the Assyrians, that is Babylon, and the case of Italy at the hands of the Austro-Hungarians. Although it was like a kind of protest song, to put it in some way from the 19th century. And in that context, when the moment comes in which, let's say, the Hebrew people are going to the scaffold, because Nebuchadnezzar had given the order at the behest of Abigail for them to be killed. Well, Nebuchadnezzar wakes up from that situation and frees them. There are some tricks about the story, because at one point Nebuchadnezzar is struck by lightning, and gets up and does the set. Thing actually is that he can't say, well, here Nebuchadnezzar died, now Cyrus the Great is coming, and he's the one who's going to free them. Then it is a metaphorical device, and then it frees him up, but when they do the Va Pensiero, people take out the flag of Italy and start Gristar Viva Verdi, which was what was written on the streets, that meant Vittorio Emanuele, King of Italy. Then, there.
With the initials, let's say.
Of course, Verdi is Vittorio Emanuele, King of Italy. So there when they start waving the flags, and everything started a novel stir, the king of the Austro-Hungarians, who was watching the opera because he liked opera, calls him to his top general, and says go and get Verdi imprisoned. Then he goes and puts him in jail, and comes back after a while, and comes back without Verdi. Does he tell you? What's the matter that he didn't put Verdi in jail? It's that he's directing the opera, and in fact, he finishes directing the opera, and they take him on a ride to Verdi. And they don't put him in jail, and it's very interesting because until, let's say, Italy became a country as we know it now, which is in the middle of the 20th century, the Italian anthem was the Va Pensiero, and what's more, when Verdi died, Verdi wanted a very, very private ceremony. He didn't want it to be something.
Ostentatious, let's say.
Ostentatious, and that he really didn't want anyone to find out, almost, so to speak, and when people found out, they went to the house and took the coffin all over the city singing the Va Pensiero. So no, it's tremendous. It was the first opera I ever heard in my life.
That was in that restaurant that was.
In a restaurant called... Can I name him?
Yes.
His name is Positano.
That we have to go.
Well.
You said we were going to go. I don't know if it's going to be possible.
Well. I'll take you. I mean, ask Ariel.
Of course.
Ask Ariel.
The head of security.
So, what's going on? In that context, let's say I heard it. I went to Positano. I was very impressed with the Va Pensiero.
Of course, because they sing in that place. They sing opera around the tables.
Opera areas.
Several areas of opera.
And then with a friend who did listen to opera, who was the one who celebrated his birthday, V. Nabucco. And then, I have 28 different versions of Nabucco. It's an opera.
Look.
That I like.
You like it. You like it a lot. She's your favorite, isn't she?
No. 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 No.
I know which one. The Murmur. How is it?
Luke, a Law Murmur. My two favorite operas are Lucia La Murmur by Gaetano Donizetti and Norma by Bellini.
Huge. Who do you watch opera with? Is it the Opera Club? Is it called that or not?
Is it a fictitious name? No. Actually, on Sundays, we hang out with Professor Juan Carlos de Pablo.
We send a kiss to Pablo's teacher.
And Annie, the woman.
And Annie, of course.
That he's much better.
It's getting better every day. We sent him a huge kiss.
And let's say, the two of us started at the Olivos cinema because I want them to know something. The president's life is not so easy.
Do you know what I was going to tell you? How did you adapt to being a free man, to circulate wherever you wanted in your life? Well, tell us in when you want this topic.
The Quinta de Olivos is truly a palace then, and so that I don't have to go out, it has everything there. Then inside the things he has.
It has the gym.
It has 2 gyms.
He has 2. Listen, don't you? So they didn't do it to me.
And then, well, it has a soccer field too.
He has tennis.
Tennis court.
It has a swimming pool. Everything was already done.
It wasn't all done.
It was all done.
Look, the only thing I modified is there was an ecological house that was made by President Macri's wife, Juliana Guada. And what we did is, we put 5 doors on it, and each door gives a park. That is where my 4-legged little boys Conan, Murray, Milton, Rover, and Lucas are.
That they are beautiful. They are a sweetie. Incredible.
And well, and then other friends joined. For example, last night he came.
Oh, tell me about last night. I missed it last night. I don't know who.
You were working on doing this.
What was it? It was the teacher.
Did the teacher come? Did he Cambodian?
Yes.
Well, did you also meet Mike's brother, who is the orchestra conductor?
Of course. I met him when we went to the colon.
To Pablo. Sometimes, if he is in Buenos Aires, he comes. Then also came Alejandro Ross Cisner, who is brilliant.
Brilliant philosopher.
He came.
Spanish, law.
Spanish, and Ezequiel Burgo also came.
Ezequiel Burgo.
Let's say he is an economist who works as a journalist at Clarín and is very, very serious. I respect him very much. That is to say, there are people who say, I get along badly with 85% of journalists because I think they lie. But there are some who work very well, and that's why I value them. That is, and the truth is that he is someone very, very serious and good. And we were doing that. We saw the play last night.
Did you see it complete?
Yes, we saw the whole thing.
Because sometimes they cut off to go and talk about, again, economics, politics.
That depends, that depends. No, after the opera we're going to. That depends, that depends. No, after the opera we'll go and have dinner.
They have dinner.
It happens that some operas are sometimes very long, or some circumstances arise that the opera has to be interrupted. I say that.
I mean, no. Sometimes.
That has happened.
Things happen.
There is one of the participants who has some issues that he can't turn off the phone, and suddenly some little spy.
Will you be the host?
He has to get up. It doesn't matter.
But friends, the group works. They have that dynamic, and they really enjoy it. For the times that I was able to share with you, I see that you enjoy it a lot, and you get into your subjects, don't you? They're your friends.
We're all nerds talking about economics.
They're a bunch of nerds. They're a bunch of divine nerds. And tell me a little bit about how you adapted to Ver from the daily routine, because you changed the sense of saying, well, I insist, a free man circulating on the street, wherever you wanted, and now you have as another routine. What are you doing? Tell him.
No, let's see. I get up at. Well, it depends. In general, let's see. It depends. There are days when I get up at 6:30 in the morning, and I send a message to someone. And if I don't get up at 6 in the morning, because someone gets up.
True.
I mean you. Yes, of course.
I get up at 6 to come and do the program, and if I don't get up at 6:30, my love always sends me a message that I say no, stay asleep, love, don't wake up. But he is very divine.
Come in if I don't send you the message.
If you didn't send it to me, well, if you don't send it to me, stab in the heart.
From whom?
To mine. No, if you don't send it to me.
No.
Take it easy.
No, it was to find out if it was a murder.
No.
Since there are 46 million who have confidence in me. that there are 46 million who have confidence in me.
The care. I take care of you. I don't take care of you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Dude, he's hiring madrasa again.
Madrasa. Very intense. No. The face. The face. No. Are we doing well with the intensity?
It's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
It's okay. Well. And what are you doing then? 6.5. And what do you do then? 6:30 and after.
And then what I do is I take a bath and I get to work.
Look.
And sometimes I'm going to pink depending. In general, I go on the days when I have a cabinet meeting, or a meeting of political tables, or, let's say, meetings with foreign investors.
Yes, you are very required. Very required. Going back to a year ago, right. By the way, in the interview you had also told me that the first thing you did was take a bath, which caught my attention.
And what am I going to do?
I don't know. People who bathe at night. What do I know? I don't have.
But I take a bath at church every day, don't you know? I say I'm going to tell you.
Of bathing. And no, he said, sometimes I talk to you and tell you how the level of requirement of the whole world towards your person is intensifying. Not only all the requirements here, conferences from all sides that talk to you and call you, but conferences from all sides that talk to you and call you, but from the outside, how do you carry that impact on you?
The same as I hold the presidency. For me, and this is the big difference with the rest of the politicians, it's just another job for me. What I'm saying is, they gave me a shop description. It's very good what you picked up from the note, because look what it is. What is it that I was saying? I'm going to lower inflation, I'm going to grow the economy, and I'm going to end insecurity. And that's what we're doing. The inflation of the 17,000. We lowered it to 28. If you look at the consumers and take out the induced one, you have 1% left, which is 13 per year, which we are complying with. If you noticed in terms of economic activity, taking the seasonally adjusted LIME, which is a proxy for the monthly frequency of GDP, we are at the same level as we were in December. Therefore, we have already overcome the fall in GDP. When you look at all the indicators of the economy, everyone is testing positive, and we also ended the pickets. That is, the number of homicides decreased. Look what happened, for example, in Rosario when the federal forces under Patricia's command intervened. Therefore, I would tell you that in that we are fulfilling, and we are honoring by honoring the word of what we promised.
Yes, that's right. Yes, totally. Besides, I perceive it, and see it and hear it in all the conversations in which I can be close, right?
But of course, there the point is, we look at this, which I think is the big difference, we look at this as a job. That is to say, then when we make decisions based on criteria linked to solving people's problems. And not to mention the issue of images and surveys. Then suddenly I have to take unfriendly measures that no one would dare to take, and yet, let's say I carry them out because basically I am convinced. So, what do I know? Looking at it as a job is not trivial, or I do it with an example. The first time I went to Olivos, there was Alberto Fernandez. Then at one point we were walking down La Quinta, and he tells me that he felt like an auctioneer showing the house to the new owner. And I said, no, I am not the new owner. I am the new tenant for 4 years, with an option for 8. Let's say that's the thing, about looking at the problem as a job. So when you look at this as a job, you make the right decision. Let's see, I put it with one of the most emblematic and harsh examples that a decision had to be made. For example, the case of universities. They have told all kinds of lies that we wanted to privatize them, that we wanted to tariff them. Every lie that was also part of the campaign of fear that made us. That was also part of the campaign of fear that made us the previous government. Let's say in the previous government. Let's say when Massa went for the presidency, and in that sense, all that negative campaign is thrown on the grill all the time.
Y en ese sentido, toda esa campaña negativa la tiran todo el tiempo a la parrilla.
And besides, the universities had a high consensus in society, let's say, an image, let's say 90-10. That is, they were 90 up and 10 down. I mean, it's a number with which no one is encouraged to the universities, and that's why, let's say, they operated it politically. Because actually, if you watch the first march, I passed the official numbers, then what the organizers say are those of the organizers. I'll give you the numbers that Dr. Ulrich gives me. The first march brought together 230,000 people, the second march with 230,000 people, the second march brought together 60,000 people. I mean, do you understand me? It fell to a room, that is, and what you know is that is and was a march set aside by the PJ, with which among truckers you wanted them and so on, with that you already gathered the 60,000 people on the left, and when I know when the veto was there were already very few in the Plaza de los Congresos. And when you look at how the debate was evolving, let's say, and it became clear that it was not a matter of looking of privatizing them, that it was not a matter of tariff them, but that the only thing we were asking for was to audit them. The image, let's say, happened to be us 85-15 up. That is, no one wants to be robbed. That is, everyone values the public university, but does not want to be robbed. Then, and look how interesting, because what did Jacob and Lusto say? Yes, come to audit, come to audit. And when we went to audit it, they wouldn't let us audit it. And not only that, something very serious happened this weekend. The typical technique of politicians of burning the evidence, of breaking the evidence appeared. Just this week that, let's say, the grape refuses to be audited, they just get into the Lusto office. What a coincidence, isn't it?
Yes.
Let's say, not to say what a scandal.
What a scandal. Well, I mean, you were talking about unfriendly measures, and I see you, and I see your gesture, and I see your look, and I see how your face is somehow becoming tender. That is far from, I mean, the measure is unfriendly, but there's nothing unfriendly about you. You are a very extremely sensitive person, and I also discover it by being a sensitive person again, a musical person, a person who connects with sensitive, beautiful things. And that's good. It's part of what people maybe don't see, don't know. I would like to go a little more to the topic of music, because I like the favorite topics that connect you. For example, I don't know, will Rollings connect you to your teenage self? No.
Well, the Rolling Stones me. Well, this song is the one that is playing in the background, is Brown Sugar. Is the version of the album Sticking Finger from 1971. It's how the album starts. Because I say I have the complete collection on vinyl, right? Well, he's a big man. I'm keeping well. But
you're keeping up very well.
Anyway, let's say I became a fan of the Stones with the version that is on the album Love You Live from 1977, which is an album by Abel on disc 2. On the B-side of that album is, let's say, Brown Sugar, which is this song that to me. It fascinates me. In fact, I too the. It fascinates me. In fact, I saw the Rolling Stones 14 times, and well, obviously, I have the complete collection, let's say both the English and the American. And at the same time, not only that, but I had a band that was Stone tribute. In fact, the concert started with Brown Sugar.
But what did they play in clubs?
We had a band called Everest.
And did they do shows?
Yes, of course.
In bars?
And I was singing for him.
Were you singing? Were you singing?
Suppose? They say that I was actually a real Beatles fan who hated the Stones, and that's why I sang to the Stones.
To ruin them.
That's why I was singing to the Stones to ruin them. To ruin them.
Well, I love it because all your public performances as it was, he loves them. They're all like very rockin', aren't they?
It's really like a rock recital. I mean, one of the things is that one has to understand the logic of the background that one has, right?
del background que uno tiene, ¿no?
What would that be?
And let's say, because basically when you see me, there are different elements that explain how I am.
Distintos elementos que explican cómo soy.
You have on the one hand the football goalkeeper, who came to be on the professional staff of Chacarita. You have the rock singer. You have the economist and all those things.
El cantante de rock, tenés el economista.
Half a teenager still. I see you and you have.
No, you because you are a madrasa.
Madrasa.
So let's say you want me to behave like a teenager because you like to play the role of a madrasa.
Well, that's true.
We weren't supposed to talk about.
No, but hey, you got that as a teenager. You keep it that logically, you can take it out rarely because of the fact that everything else, the seriousness that it implies.
At Luna Park, I took the rock singer for a walk.
In the moon, of course, in the Luna Park, in the day.
I hope you remember. Of the 28th of May, Dale.
You know I suck at dates of everything, but obviously, how can I not remember, if it was the day?
That you managed the entrance.
The day I managed the entrance to see the presentation of the book. Of course, so much for Sandra Tovello later.
Who came here too?
He came here now, of course. He came here the day of the interview and, well, surprise, I have surprise for a little while. And the Luna Park, well, me. Well, anyway, what had been our first kiss? First kiss. And, well, look, where are we? Look, I'm with the book.
Things happened.
That happened. What a cutie. She was cute that day. They put me in the front row. Look how beautiful with your book there. Beautiful it looks back. What were you feeling? What were you feeling? They want to know what you were feeling. Well, he or I, me of everything. But you were very prepared to be able to sing. You were with Bernie.
Bertie, also Joaquin, Bertie's brother. Bertie played the drums. Joaquin played the guitar. There was another guitarist. There was Marcello de Clos, who is one of my biographers. And the girl who sang is Marcello's wife.
Look, if you didn't rehearse much, because we were talking there in the chamber, you didn't go to rehearse much.
No, I rehearsed with a track they put together, and I was rehearsing on top of that track.
Of course, I said, go to rehearse. No, well.
It seems to me that I allocated the resources in another way, and it turned out well.
Yes, he came out.
And well.
We're doing well, love, we're doing well. Well, let's continue with the music, because the music is very representative. We were talking now about the Rolling Stones. About you, how do you remember teenager? What did you like to do? What did you do besides football? No.
I was playing.
Were you studying?
Yes, of course, you were studying.
Of course, very studious.
Yes.
That you had the best averages.
And in college, I had an average of 943.
Look at you. And in high school?
No, I was more lax in high school.
But you were Boko. Did you get bored in the classroom?
You saw that though.
Very smart.
I was having a very bad time. I was bored a lot.
Of course. Because that's very smart and that...
I found school very, very boring.
Sure, totally. Is the faculty different now?
The faculty amused me horribly.
Of course. Were you already going to what you liked? What you had chosen? No.
Yes.
Sure, totally. Well, and another one of your favorite singers that you were transferring to me. I'm happy about life, because I discovered Elvis Presley with you. And we're going to listen to a theme as well.
This is Suspicious Minds.
Why this topic?
This is but this is a studio version. Let's say I got hooked up with Elvis on this topic. I was watching TV, I was doing zapping, and in a documentary program, I found a documentary about Elvis. And they are just passing a section of the Hawaii recital of 1973.
That we saw it now.
And I was very impressed with Elvis and firm that I met a place called Elvis Shop, and there I started buying. I must have more than 100 vinyl records, but I have a lot of CDs, and Suspicious Minds was the first song that struck me. This is not the investment that I like the most because the study won.
And what is the lyrics about? Tell me a little bit.
And let's say suspicions, that is. Suspicious mind. But hey, it doesn't matter. I mean, musically it's huge. It's I think it's Elvis' anti-last number one, because I think the last one was Burning Love from 1972. And it's a really wonderful track. The version that I like the most is a version that is in Las Vegas, in what is the on-stage in-person recital. They are logical that they have it, and it is impressive.
Well, and I love Elvis themes that already have to do with us. Because you were transferring the Elvis mania to me, weren't you? And at least we left two topics. I chose two topics. Let's see which one we have first. Melody.
Melody triggers.
Ay, qué hermoso. Ay, cantámela.
Dame la letra y te la canto.
Nah, si te la sabes.
I know I speak English. I don't know what.
Are you still mine? Yes. Yes.
Esta es la versión en vivo.
Ay, qué lindo, ponela fuerte.
Esta es la versión en vivo. Este es el último tema que cantó Elvis.
Sí, qué hermoso eso cuando ya estaba
Sí,
mal. ¿Ves ahí? Qué tremendo.
It's tremendous.
Y él es tremendo.
You to my love, and it's awesome. It's awesome for awesome.
No, pero Elvis
es impresionante. Es impresionante. Para mí vos sos impresionante.
You surpass Elvis.
No.
Sí, para mí sí.
Bueno.
Listen to my love and...
Y la otra.
Tell me, right, you told me once, but for people so they know.
A lot of people think that Freddie Mercury could have been a singer, and the singer Elvis was a baritone. That is, the voice register is baritone, and clearly he could have sung at the opera. He had a voice that allowed it.
Elvis era un barítono, o sea, el registro de voz es barítono. Y claramente podría haber cantado en la ópera, tenía un caudal de voz que se lo permitía.
In fact, he had choir training, so clearly he could do it, and the other one who actually could also be a lyric singer. Because he was a lyric singer, but he dedicated himself to popular music, which there is also an explanation for that, which was Nino Bravo.
Ay, qué bueno.
Bravo, yes.
We remember Nino Bravo.
He was a tenor and basically.
Y básicamente él era
The Zarzuela is the Spanish lyric, and this is America.
Y este es América.
Let's see.
And I prefer free.
Free. Let's look for free.
Libre, sí, totalmente.
Ahora te cuento la historia de Libre.
A ver.
Fuerte la historia de Libre.
Mientras la buscamos y mientras les cuento que estamos en Recontra Vivo, son las 11, casi y 5 de la mañana.
Of the day Monday, the 4th of November, in which we are celebrating, remembering 1 year of the interview.
Recordando un año de la entrevista.
My love. Let's see.
But behind the border is his home, his world. Let's see, the communist system was always put in place by force. It was never done by. I mean, that's the point, right? If it were that good, because let's say they have to force people to enter that garbage, right? And basically what the free song tells is the story of Peter Fetcher, a 19-year-old boy who finds out that from one day to the next, the damn communists had built a fence, and they couldn't, and then they couldn't get through. It used to be possible to move from capitalist to communist Germany, and vice versa. And of course, as people were leaving communism, it occurred to the communists to build a wall. First it was a wire, they were wires, they were made with wires. So for a year, this guy plans how to get out of the wall, how to escape.
Planea cómo salir del muro, cómo escaparse.
And then one night, let's say, he finds a gap and goes out.
Encuentra un hueco y sale.
Then you saw that in a moment, he says, with his passion for flags, and says he left and did not hear the voice that called him, the voice of alto. And when he says, and lying on the floor, he remained smiling and without speaking, and crimson flowers sprouted incessantly from his chest. They actually burst him with shots. And the interesting thing about this situation is that the damn communists shot them up and didn't leave him there. They took them, let's say, to the center of the square dying, and let him die in front of people. So they would know what was going to happen to him if they wanted to escape communism. And that's what the story of Libra tells. It's a libertarian song, obviously.
How beautiful, beautiful, really beautiful. Well, what a nice moment. Thank you. Thank you for being. We have things, we have videos. We have beautiful videos that are recent, quite recent. I don't know if they want to see them now. They want to go, for example. Well, we're going to do a video review so that you can tell us your feelings, your emotion about this. First, we are going to see the one of the steps, the most voted my law, the most voted in the steps 2023, and the video to this one.
I'm not saying Thai, but very close. Province of Buenos Aires, we have the total of 32% of tables counted. 25. First with the 37.52%, second with the 15.99, and third on the 15th and 46. The sum gives 31 odd points. She is fourth place with 24% of the vote. Good choice of Pip. Great choice. And Worker in last place with 2.47% of the votes in the province of Buenos Aires. Any reading? Sorry, Johnny. No, I mean, we used to say that the Grindetti Santilli thing was stick, and it's there. It's a total surprise.
What a thrill, isn't it? What were you thinking?
No, the day of the steps was incredible because we were betting that making me the candidate, rather than me being the most voted candidate, but that we could come third, right? That is, behind everyone's front, and together for change, but in that situation of being the most voted. Even if we were third in the sum of forces, well, then we had to go out to look for the hand-to-hand. And what was amazing is that we came out first.
Impressive.
And so I say for us too, that was a very strong thing. That is why we also took all this very wisely. Because in general people are not prepared for the ideas of freedom. I always remember, let's say, when you read Shimo, that is Exodus, the book.
Del, Old Testament.
From the Torah, or the Old Testament, which is the Pentateuch. No. One of the things that people believe, that all the Jews came out of Egypt, and that's not true. In fact, let's say the Holy Scripture says 1 in 5, so you can imagine that for us 20% was one thing. Let's say that the miracle was good, but the force of heaven, let's say, they put us first and good. And then began what was the biggest dirty campaign in history, where we have received all kinds of slander, insults. They have violated everything that can be violated. They've messed with my family, with my sister, with my parents, with my dogs. They have messed with everything they had. They have made all kinds of messes. They have bribed people to dirty me, to talk badly. People have been bribed to get me dirty, to make them speak badly, let's say. You've never, ever seen something so disgusting, and all that rubbish that brought out the worst in politics. I mean, there was a lot of complicity in journalism, and then I'm not a journalistic person, but I have a memory.
No soy rencoroso, pero tengo memoria.
Of course.
And I remember every one of those who dirtied me, slandered me, insulted me.
Yes.
And the thing that is clear to you that I do not forget.
I have it clear. Exactly. I have it clear. Well, moving on to the guys. Now that they love you, they adore you, they greet you, they love you, they cheer for you. Let's go see it.
Please.
Well, do you often come to the fence in pink with the kids who come from school?
That was during the campaign. That was in Bahia Blanca. It is one of the many wonderful moments that this great guy Santiago Oria captures. That was in Bahia Blanca. And that is interesting because many times in the middle of the tumult, it is very difficult to capture moments like that. But it is the type of reactions that I receive every day, then it is very, very strong what the people generate, and the will to change. There is a will to change, there is a desire to get ahead. And in some sense, sometimes, every day I am more convinced that we Argentines put on long pants. And we already know that the shortcut does not work.
Los argentinos nos pusimos los pantalones largos y ya sabemos que el atajo no funciona.
The shortcut sounds nice, but it always ends badly, and in that sense I say, well, I promised there to tell him we are working on that. And indeed, if we had not worked, and we had arrived like that from nothing to the government, we would have exploded.
Y hubiéramos llegado así de la nada al gobierno.
So it's good that we were working, and good that the results are being seen, right?
Yes, totally. The next video that we are going to see is the one of the aggression that Fran, the journalist, had. That later they took refuge in the Casa de las Empanadas. That the next day the Casa de las Empanadas sold everything. By the way, it suited them well on that side. Well, let's watch the video.
By the police. Well, tell us why you made the decision to go to the place afterwards, to the local. How was it? Well, there are two things. First, it shows that the left is garbage everywhere, that they are cowards, that they are handicapped in whatever aspect you look at them. Let's say, in fact, for me the left is. At some point, I thought being on the left implied some kind of. It was a mental problem, wasn't it? Let's say no, let's say. Because it is so strong, the empirical evidence never worked anywhere, and they refused to accept it. Therefore, I thought it was a mental problem. I mean, some kind of job that doesn't even allow them to see the numbers. I mean, they usually always have. They are enemies of numbers, they hate numbers. Numbers hate numbers. I don't know if lefties hate water more than numbers. I mean, I don't know if they hate bathing more than numbers. But apart from that, let's say they are very violent. But what I've discovered is that being on the left is a disease of the soul.
In what way?
And because basically the left is built on envy, hatred, resentment, unequal treatment in the face of the law, violence. And it shows that, man, none of those would have stood up to Frank. None of them. They are all cowards. They had to resort to that, and since they have no ways and arguments to answer, they go for physical violence. That is, let's always say, lefties resort to physical violence and all kinds of violent demonstrations because they are unable to refute arguments. That's the central element. And then I went to that place, to that business, because they saved Frank's life. Because these cowards, scumbags, would have killed Frank, and not only that, but also there was a guy who used a rap, who used his bicycle as a way to stop them, and obviously they broke his bicycle. So I also invited Rosa to Olivos, and we gave them a motorcycle.
The delivery guy.
The delivery guy.
And with Fran it was also Fran.
Fran came. Well, but I see Fran. I see him more often, so to speak.
We have more videos, right? We have some more. Which one do we have? To the one of the elementary school kids. In the pink house? How beautiful. Well, let's see it.
Deje pasar a los otros chicos también que no.
Hello? Let's go fuck ourselves.
Why do you think that guys tell you I love you, or do they have that love being that they are boys? They don't know about politics, ideology, economics, or I don't know what was going on and I'm out of date.
Look, there's a wonderful saying that goes, guys and crazy people always tell the truth. That's why kids are educated and crazy people are locked up. What the kids have is their intuition on the surface, and they realize who is genuine and who is not and who is not. And I think that somewhere their unconscious knows that I am working so that they have a future, so that they have a better future, so that this is a decent country to live in, and the truth is that when we make decisions, we do them thinking about the long term. We are building a project thinking the Argentina power, let's say, that Argentina manages to be a world power in 40 years, but that the century that started now with this management is the century of Argentina. That Argentina is a vanguard country, that it is a leading country, that we are at the top of the best in the world. And I think that, in some sense, they know that the maximum beneficiaries of the enormous work that we do are them, and I think that. And that is genuine, and they understand it. Kids, let's say, are driven by intuition.
The intuition, no. The kindness that you have kindness. If not, but you have an inner goodness. You have one thing. Look, I watch it with my granddaughter. The day we went to the House of Mud and Marcos to see each other, to get together, I told you, what was it saying? After my granddaughter, who has Josefina at 6, when is Miley coming back? Said the baby. And yet it's not that anything had happened. It's not that you came to him with a gift.
Josefina sensed things before.
from before, and the parents who handled her all the time. Oh, what a laugh. Listen to me, my love. We have one more video. We have the video. The one of Thor. How divine Thor. We're going to show a lot of people. Your followers already know him. But hey, we want our audience to know him too. We see it.
Look, that man is the one who occupies the movies, everything. Yes, yes, yes. Show him how he's going to get to know the house where the guy works. Look, look.
Well, how does Thor get into your life, into Karina's life?
Look.
Mira,
That's a topic, but it happens that a friend of mine, a relative, raises Bernese mountain dogs, and then decides to give me a Bernese mountain dog. And recently my sister's little son had left, that is, Aaron. May God have him in glory, and well then. They give me this beautiful little dog and nothing, and one day he says to me, "But are you going to have another dog?"
A mí me regalan este perrito tan hermoso y nada, y un día me dice, pero vas a tener otro perro.
I mean, you just take care of your own, and well, nothing. I got coffee for saying it. The boss was quite rough, and then when they brought him, they took him first to Kari's house, and then he said, well, I'm going to keep him one night. He was charmed, and it's divine, Thor is divine, and walks around the pink house everything.
Of course, because at one point, they decided that in order to always be together with Thor, with Karina, to start going to the pink house.
Yes, this is the pink house. But it is that.
What it is, look, we're looking there in the background, look.
The thing about Casa Rosada is that every time you go to Casa Rosada, it's very absorbing, and then you come in at 8 in the morning, and you leave at 10 o'clock. That is, the logic of the Casa Rosada is devastating to me. It's a very imposing place because it's like working in a museum, but it kind of absorbs you and you can't leave. And I think that dynamic is not the best. That's why I work a lot on olive trees. So aside, I say nothing, get off the elevator, and get in the desk. No.
Of course.
I mean, I don't travel, nothing, I mean, already locked up. I'm already there working.
And you can generate your meetings, and that you have a lunch with officials.
There is a place called Jefatura, and there is also another office there. There is a meeting room. Everything. And then sometimes we get together in the Quincho, let's say, or we get together in the Jefatura meeting room. Or sometimes he looks at what happened on Friday. We went to the police act where we decorated one of my custodians, Guillermo Armentano. I don't know if Gil is around, but let's say I handed him the decoration that was the one who received the bottle on the day of the Assumption. So a hero thanks to Gil, let's say, I adore them both. Gil and Ariel, let's say they are wonderful, and obviously also Johnny, who has been with me for a few years now, and obviously. And the whole team, because they are all wonderful.
Everyone in charge of security.
And there I went to the Ministry of Economy, that supposedly we were going to have lunch with Caputo, but he didn't pay me for lunch. Because we started talking, we got together with the whole big team, and then we continued working in the office of Luis. Of Toto and I had a meeting at Casa Rosada, at 2 in the afternoon, and it was to 2:05 I had to cross. And then later in the evening, we continued in Olivos that Toto came, Sentiva Auxili wine, Vladimir Garding wine, Furier's wine, Guttier.
En Olivos, que vino Toto, vino Santiva Auxili, vino Vladimir Garding, vino Furiase, Gutier,
I'm missing it.
1.
If I'm missing one. Well.
They stayed up like late at night working.
We stayed working until 2 in the morning.
More than 2 in the morning. Yes.
But, let's say, we would give Argentines so much joy if they knew the amount of things we cook there.
The face, your face of joy. Well, as the last video of this series, before we go to a small cut, we are going to see exactly that emotion generated by the people who work with you, who are surrounding you, who also take care of you, who take charge of their work with such dignity. We are going to see that video.
We feel distinguished and we ask for it. It is easy the step of successes in this day, management.
Well, this was on your birthday, and what happened to you? What did you feel? Why did you have such a strong emotion?
Because, let's see, the Grenadiers were the soldiers of General San Martin, that is, the liberator. That is the liberator. So I have a very affinity with the Grenadiers. In addition, the Grenadiers were very mistreated by other governments. They did not have their backs to them. I mean, they were very destroyed. And I'm nothing. I treat them with a lot of affection, because nothing, let's say, they are the big story of Argentina. They are, let's say, the emblematic regime of the liberating feat of General San Martin. So I have a very strong affinity. I mean, I have a lot of respect for them. When I break the protocol, and I greet them and shake their hands, which is quite a problem for them, because they are with the sabers. And which is quite a problem for them, because they are with the sabers. But now, in fact, it is allowed that they answer me, because if not, they cannot speak, and they say hello and everything. I have a great respect, a great admiration for the Grenadiers, for what they represent, and that they give me a represent, and to be given an original hat was
very touching.
No, it was very shocking. It generated me. Yes.
It was noticed, and a lot of people cried. You know that?
No, but no, let's just say.
The emotion was very contagious, and incidentally also to tell them that in Olivos when we go there, or you are on the hikes, or sometimes we go together, you also have this to greet all the soldiers. We have to pull out all the stops.
To say hello, if they are the ones who are taking care of me.
Yes, there are a lot of them, and to each one and the hand.
And there is a big part that takes care of the boys for me. Also. Because you have to tell people it's full of motherfuckers too.
Drones and everything, right?
Yeah, well, those are a means of communication. He put 3 drones inside my house.
Yes. How do you handle all that?
I don't know how we live it. It seems to me that the media has the right to investigate and report, but getting into my private life, putting drones inside the house, seems to me an excess that. But oh well.
It happens. It happens, but it gets solved too. It's solved. It's solved.
The three of us, with the anti-hydros, we threw it away.
You throw them away. It is solved. Well, good.
And besides, we know whose they are.
Good. Good. Well, are we all right? Yes. Let's go.
You're not telling me.
Let's go. Let's go to a short, but you know I'm always there.
In the program. I watch it at night, you know.
At night. But did you see that I'm always watching to see if you're okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Love. Are you okay? Well.
I like the one at the beginning when you start.
Yes. Do you like it?
Yes, I find it interesting.
Yeah, no.
I can tell if I did my homework right.
Yes, you always do us good. You never did them wrong. Always right.
Well.
Always good, love. Always good. I'm your fan. I'm your fan.
Me too.
I am your fan, my love. Well, let me tell you that there is a team of some of his friends, collaborators here at the studio who wanted to accompany him. And I would also like to invite them so that you can also get to know them a little more closely and that we can talk. But to get settled in, we're going to go to a little court first. Yes. Is that okay with you? We're coming. We continue to start the day. We are absolutely live. It is 20 to 12 o'clock at noon. Very welcome to all your apart from your friends collaborators. Let's hear it for them. This is an honor. We also have behind the camera to see where it goes. Would you like to introduce yourself, please? Who are they? And that people know them there. But oh well, let him introduce himself.
I present it myself.
Don't you want to take the place away from me? It won't crack, and...
I swear I don't. Well, here we have Dr. Radel. Well, here we have Dr. Radel, who is a physicist by profession, has a doctorate from Harvard, is one of the brightest minds in Argentina, and is my chief of advisors, and is the one who is bringing all the topics of artificial intelligence to Argentina. So it is that when we accelerate the growth rate, thanks to artificial intelligence, and we all live much better. Thanks to this genius who is here, who is Dr. Ray.
Excellent.
Thank you, President. Then Macarena works with Santiago Ara. They are in charge of filming the photos, the images. That is, she is the one who makes me look
beautiful.
Pinton.
Wonderful.
And so I tied you up. Just like I tied you up. And he does a phenomenal job. Then there is Manuel. Manuel is a great economist. Above all things, he is also a great popularizer. We have met giving the cultural battle in left-handed channels, obviously, as befits, doing back-to-back. And I don't remember in my life a spokesperson in my life such a brilliant, and such a versatile, and such a wonderful spokesperson. The truth is that it is so versatile, and so wonderful. The truth is that it's a wonder. Thank you very much.
An applause to Macarena, that we had not applauded her. Now, both of you, how wonderful that you talk about your team like that. And yes, now with Lilia. I tell you that Manuel Adorni was in the guest program, and Lilia too. Lemoyne, and when did you come? Lilia, I was there before Javier, and I told him, and I said to him, go and watch the program of Yuyito. Applause. No, it's a good thing he didn't hit me. He didn't say you're not going. On the contrary, if you are divine. Nothing. What's wrong? And we had been waiting for you to come back. So this is the opportunity. This is the opportunity. Well,
Lilia. Well, Lilia is a gladiator of the ideas of freedom. I met Lilia when I was doing the play.
The
consulting room.
Miley's office.
In fact, she made the models of the central bank that I broke at the end, with which poor Lilia killed herself working. And I then went to break her like a savage, but good was the part of the story. She was a parliamentary candidate for by expert. That's when we started interacting a lot more. Let's say she has had, let's say during the 2021 campaign for deputies, she accompanied me everywhere. And actually Liria is, besides a great defender of the defense of the security of freedom, she is the one who has changed my look.
He told us what you told when you came. Well,
Let's say, if I look like Wolverine, it's true. Luis, Lilia did it.
the truth is that the resemblance was already there. I saw it, and only the sideburns were missing, nothing else.
So, and well, today she is a national deputy for the province of.
And that he earned it from her, sir, is the deputation. Forgive me, because I am outraged when I hear any machiraladas that I hear out there, more outrageous when they come from machiraladas that I hear out there, more outrageous when they come from women machiraladas, besides on top. Thank you, ma'am. It happens sometimes, did you see? We have to put up with it sometimes, women, these things.
Well, then there's Magali.
Magali.
Magali is my assistant. I've known Magali for about 20 years. Well, she is a person of honesty, of efficiency, and if they manage to have meetings with me, it is thanks to the enormous work of Magal, my sister, that they run me all the way down on the beds. Because you saw how difficult it is to find me, didn't you?
Oh, I don't know. It's hard for me.
You use other tools.
Let's hear it, Magali. Even I bank now, Magali, beautiful. The patience of Magali. Well.
And then we have our Super Minister of Human Capital, Sandra Tobello, that we are friends. And when we started walking this path to the presidency, we designed this idea of human capital. That is absolutely revolutionary worldwide, and that is garnering the admiration of many people.
Y que está cosechando la admiración de muchas personas.
Sandra, together with Patricia Bullrich, are responsible for the fact that there are no more pickets today, because everyone was saying, oh, there is no need to cut with the managers of poverty, there is that. Because everyone said, oh no, we have to cut with the managers of poverty, we have to cut with the intermediaries, everything. But it had to be had. Courage. Guts. Well, the lady has them. And no, because this is very important, because one of the things Sandra had discovered is that although people charged on a card, the way they stole from the beneficiaries of social plans was when they had to make the benefit. And when they demanded the benefit and had to verify that benefit, that's where they had to return the money. That is, then suddenly they received two plans, but let's say they charged only one, the other was charged by the managers of the poor. And that was very important, because there are three types of war. There is the war of stock against stock, he loses the one that is finished first. There is the war of flow never ends, and there is the war of stock and flow. What's going on? We were putting, let's say, I speak like the Argentine state, putting money all the time to these people, God, with the East Kuro of verification that allowed them to anchor, and then it was, you were feeding your own enemy. So basically you were financing the pickets, you were financing the riots, and there Sandra made a very strong decision. That was to cut the benefit, and obviously when cutting the benefit, the verification is cut. When the verification is cut, people get paid, and they don't have to pay anyone. That left these criminals without funds. The money went all to the beneficiaries of the social plans. It went all to the beneficiaries of the social plans, and what happened then faced with this situation, they took to the streets. At that moment, Dr. Bullrich elaborates the protocol. It is known as the anti-picket protocol, but the correct name, Manuel, is of public order. of public order. We also took out the protocol, who was the Minister of Infrastructure, Ferraro, uses all the infrastructure Ferraro, uses the entire transport network, so also that the one who cuts does not charge, let's say if they were extorted, that the complaints be made. Bellobonia was threatening a march of 50,000 people. Actually, he was thinking of raising 100,000, and the truth is that he raised less than 3,000, and we won that battle. And firm there they never took us to the street again, and something that seemed impossible, as we say, to end the pickets. We achieved it from the first day. It seemed impossible to end the intermediaries of poverty. Sandra succeeded. They said it was impossible to end inflation. We are ending inflation. They said it was impossible to end the problems of insecurity. We are ending them. In fact, the previous government said that they had lost the war on drug trafficking. And we have a historical record of seizures of all types of narcotics. They said that the fiscal surplus was impossible. We achieved it, and they said that it was impossible, let's say, that we managed to stabilize them and sanitize the central bank, and we are doing it and well, and then, if they said that it was also impossible to grow, we are also growing because we made the largest structural reform in Argentine history. That is 8 times larger than that made by Menem, which was the largest in history. And we did that with 15% of the Chamber of Deputies and 10% of the Chamber of Senators. That is to say, then okay, because besides we are a month or a little more away from the Feast of Sukkot, which is that of Maccabees, which is the amount of, let's say, victory in battle does not depend on the number of soldiers, but on the strength of heaven. And boy, are there forces of heaven here. Seriously.
Yes, totally a round of applause for Sandra Beto. By the way, it was you?
Accomplice in Luna Park.
And the day of the interview, almost a year ago.
Yes, that too, let's say.
Giving a year of the interview.
I can tell something kind of creepy about that one.
And yes, let's see. Sorry. First of all, we present to everyone this sorry. First of all, we introduce everyone. There is Mario. There, please take it that he did not want to come here because he is a very discreet man, but
if it's discreet, and you're going to approach it by Mario. Discreet. If you don't want to go out.
If you want, he told me.
Say hello to Mario.
His very personal collaborator of Olivos, but of everything, really, of everything.
And then, something lurid. Of course, when all the campaign advisors were going to come here, it was don't get in there. Don't go to such a program. I mean, I was very focused with the campaign issues, and nothing. And Lilia comes up with things. No, but let people know that that's a human being. And nothing, and I listened to him.
To Lilia. And why didn't you come that day then? I had already come. No, but to accompany. Well, Sandra came. Well, there was Sandra. Sandra, I said it's one. Divina, it's not going to hurt you. I really liked you. I already knew you were a good person. And the truth is, I'm not going to talk about it. Well, thank you.
And Sandra, no, and the topic is the following. Then, because the truth is that the most dangerous interviews are the ones where he's relaxed. So the fear was that, let's say, I would relax and become divergent.
It became a little bit the same. Well, I relaxed, I don't know, but
I was very attentive at the interview. I mean, I was trying to change. Obvious. And then Sandra came to be monitoring that I didn't get divergent.
Did it get divergent? The face.
So when the interview was over, I called him to Santa Caputo and told him, how was it? And then he grabs, he says, give me a second. She says, look, I didn't watch it, but that's okay because no complicated title came out.
In fact, by the way, I want to tell everyone that we are trending on Twitter so that you know the extent of the president's presence. No, we'll see later. Same tendency, Yuyito. But let's see, please. Please, why is it going to be? No. Well, to all this, all of you, friends, comrades, are going to say collaborators, something to the President of the nation. But before that I want to make a brief.
Be careful with the free electron. And with Ray.
Here came crossed fronts, but wait in a second. Let's do a little bit of a touch like that. Luis Toto Caputo,
The best minister of economy in the history of Argentina, and today, the best minister of economy in the world.
Patricia Bullrich,
A woman with an extraordinary courage, who put order in the streets, and who, in addition to a great generosity, because if it were not for the humility and greatness of Dr. Bullrich together with President Macri, I would not be president today.
Por la humildad y la grandeza de la doctora Bullrich junto al presidente Macri, yo hoy no sería presidente.
watch you say that. What a heart you have.
No, it's the truth.
No, but that's okay. Another layer doesn't say that.
The truth?
Well, Joe's Luis Espert.
A great battle partner. Let's say we have fought the cultural battle together. I'm going to tell an anecdote.
Well,
One day I appear on television, and the other day Pablo's teacher calls me in despair. He tells me he was coming to have lunch with me. I didn't ask anything, and I went. Then he grabbed me and said, "Listen to me one thing. You can't go like that on TV." He tells me, "You're going to be left alone. You can't be so abrupt, so rough, and that's not going to help you in your career." He tells me, "You're going to end up being an expert with a wig." And I tell them I love it. I love it. So nothing. I love the teacher very much, and it was a great inspiration how he fought so hard against all these criminals. And I'm also going to say something very valuable. When you take any successful process, they carry what is called the dynamics of an exponential. An exponential is a function that grows very slowly, and that at one moment makes a turning point and grows phenomenally. The great value of Expert was that he put the ideas of freedom back into the electoral contest. So I don't care if she got 2%, 1%, I don't care, but she put the ideas back into the discussion. And we made the turning point when she was the candidate, when we were a candidate for deputies that he was, that he got the seat next to Carolina P. Parro for the province of Buenos Aires. In my case next to Dr. Villarreal from Capital Federal. And that unleashed a dynamic that later today has us as... He has me as president.
that's so cute. By the way, I send a kiss to Mech Expert. Expert's wife who is one. Guess what?
She had a gift to give a book by Roca, and she who is a fan of Roca.
Rock fan? The next dinner? Of course not.
The rock book.
I don't want to take the Magali job out. Well, Federico Sturzenegger.
Federico Sturzenegger, I call him the Colossus, is one of the most brilliant economists in the world. He is a professor at Harvard. Not only that, but besides being a super smart, super hardworking guy. The biggest characteristic, despite all these superlative things he has, is an off-the-charts human being. I love him very much because I have seen him give his head out of loyalty to his political boss when the gentleman, being vice president of the central bank, and I from the outside, told him to resign because they are going to take you places. And he said I owe it to my political boss, and he said they should tear it up and split it into 57,000 pieces out of loyalty to Macri. And that, besides he is a collaborator, let's say, but impressive. Since he joined the cabinet, he generated tremendous oxygenation for us. In other words, there were two changes that greatly favored why the government flies today, right? We had a pose that was a kind of super minister and had become a funnel, and things did not come out, they got stuck. So, let's say he left pose, we put Guillermo Francos in that position, that is as a coordinator of. He is a coordinating minister. Then he gives the ministers much more play. He has many more responsibilities. And also Federico came in, who put a lot of air, a lot of new air, and is always, let's say, with challenging topics. So, well, probably one of our best parts of government are the cabinet meetings. There is someone who can tell apart when they are barbarians.
And what do you like?
I like them tall, blonde, and...
Sure, I'll get on.
Ready. Not anymore. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Well, and to see the presents. The presents, what does the doll have for you? A little bit here. This is for you, my love. This one's for you. Look, gift from the...
Champ.
That's so cute. And another one for me. Wow. That's so good. She's good.
Besides, you know I use these things. Look how good that one is.
She's so hot.
Besides, we can change our clothes ourselves, because what I have are bibs.
I have it on my back from the front. Of course. Many thanks to the production.
Sorry about that. My love.
Well, something quickly to your dear friend. But quickly because the program is leaving already.
People don't know what a caring and nice guy he is. What we work for, if we are at the level, we know it. Thank you, President.
Thank you, President. I love how the President says it. Come on, keep going, keep going. Give us a minute. Thank you very much for everything you are doing for Argentina. Thank you for getting into the mud of politics that was full of corruption, of mafia, if you in spite of everything, and you knew that I was going to swim you with everything. You got in and now you are the hope of Argentina. That's good.
Well, I keep it private, because I tell him in private. But as president, the truth is that I am the president of history. No, but we met in the cultural battle, and it is incredible to be changing Argentina at this moment. The truth is that. And what the president just said about the cabinet meetings, it's true. One leaves the cabinet meeting convinced that we are indeed doing everything to make this change and get out of the decline. That at least a quarter of a century of populism left us.
Very well. Mrs. Lilia.
I'm Bolveri.
Well, Javier is not only a person that I love very much, and I am very glad to see him happy with you, Amalia. The truth makes me very happy. Thank you, thank you. Javier is the embodiment of the libertarian dream. I've always said that every libertarian loves Javier. There is no way that someone doesn't love him, and I am very grateful that he and Karina have put their heart, body, and life to make possible this change that many of us dreamed of and wanted to happen, and it finally happened. Sometimes I wake up and say I'm in a parallel dimension. I was painting the terrace yesterday, and suddenly I was listening to a newscast and President Javier Milei was saying, I say stop. Am I dreaming? And it's true. He's here, the president. I am very happy, and I love him a lot. How cute, how cute. Maggie, well, nothing. A pleasure to work with him, and beyond at work level. Working a person with the values he has, with humility, with kindness, is really a pride. How beautiful, how beautiful. Am I a handheld microphone? We have 4. Do you have it, my love? Okay, sorry. Here in the middle of director. I'm going to talk. He speaks to the country.
Minister Tobello.
Nothing, I adore you, and I will be with you in any new madness that you can think of always, all my life.
There is no presidency of planet Earth, so we are going to find.
Whatever it is, I will be with you always.
Thank you.
Well, love, and I have to tell you that I love you, I adore you. I thank you so much that a year ago, against people who maybe said it's not going to suit you, you came. Thank you because after I don't know, it happened that months later we met and well. Thank you, love. Thank you. How beautiful. Thank you. Thank you to you for being here. Thank you to the production, to Coco, to Farpin, Anita, Eugenia, to everyone, and well, thank you. To come.
By the word.
By a lot. Exactly. Once again fulfilling the